Most photographers, artists in general, we all have a really hard time when it comes to a lack of inspiration or a creative rut. It can come in many forms and it's really challenging to get out of for a lot of people. I've been at this for more than a decade now, and I feel like I have some good tips and tricks to really break this down and understand why it happens, but more importantly, how to get out. You'll be surprised at my number one piece of advice, which is to keep shooting. The truth is, no matter how uninspired or burnt out I am, I always keep shooting. This truly has taught me more about myself and who I am as an artist, more than any other quote unquote inspiration that I'm able to find elsewhere. To me, inspiration is pretty rare. It shows up seldomly, but when it does, I take advantage of it. Oftentimes, you have to make do with what you have, and usually it's not you're waking up on a perfect morning, the sun is shining, and you're inspired and ready to go. A lot of times you got to kickstart that inspiration, make it happen on its own. I want to talk today about showing up for yourself as an artist. More importantly, how the camera has done that for me, and hopefully how that can help maybe some of you guys out there who have struggled or are currently struggling with burnout or a lack of inspiration. Now, I've been a photographer, as I mentioned, for 10 years. I picked up a camera when I was 16 years old. So we're talking over 12 years now of having the camera around my shoulder and bringing it along to pretty much everything that I can in life. It didn't start out that way though. I felt like when I first started out, the camera was more of a tool for perfection. So I brought it out when I knew I was going to get a great photo, or I knew that a shoot was going to be great. What I've learned recently, and maybe this is the last several years or so, inspiration comes a lot from just the repetitiveness of being creative. This, I think, is why it's so important to have an everyday camera, or a camera that you just kind of bring everywhere with you. If you're a photographer and you shoot for work, or even if you don't, maybe you're just a landscape photographer, portrait, whatever it may be, having a camera to document your own life and to just bring around on a neighborhood walk or on a random outing with friends, to me, this is where I've found so much inspiration as of late. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the repetitiveness of being creative. Even when you don't want to, even when I don't feel like it, I always go out for a sunset drive usually. I bring my camera, and oftentimes I don't even really look at the photos that I shoot. It's more just for the repetitiveness of getting out there, training your body, training your mind, that this is what you need to do in order to be creative time over time. I think we're obsessed now as a culture with images and photos that are instantly shareable. And I've definitely been at fault for that. I think in the social media age that we live in, we're all focused on trying to shoot stuff that we can instantly share and instantly try to get work from, or try to get some sort of interaction on social media. It's pretty common, and it's one that we've all fallen victim to. I find myself doing this pretty regularly, and it's hard to snap out of it sometimes. I also have found the cure to this to be just to take photos with no other intent but other than just to take the picture. Some of the best images, and certainly I can say some of my most intimate photos, have come from these sort of low pressure environments where I'm not getting paid to do anything. It's usually just a casual moment with friends or family, and I'm able to bring the camera out and snap photos of what then is a wonderful moment in time. The cool thing is to let these marinate, almost like when you shoot film and you let it sit in the fridge for a while. I like to take photos on these daily cameras and just let them sit on the SD card for a while. I'll come back to them at some point. Usually by then I've forgotten about it, and I'm able to look at the photos with a fresh perspective. Sometimes I'll find a gem or two in there, and that's, I think, why I am such a big advocate for bringing a camera along. When I'm inspired, I shoot differently. I feel like everything is just working. You can't take a bad photo, but when you're shooting and you're not inspired, it's a whole different story. I feel like you almost try new things when you're not worried or not focused on shooting what you normally would. This is when you try new things, new compositions, weird angles. Maybe you try a new lens. You just go to a different part of town than you normally would. Go watch the sunset somewhere else that night. These sort of mundane moments, I really do believe, are ones that sort of are the building blocks for how you think as a creative. Now, over the lifetime of my career, I've made tons of friends throughout this photography journey, some of which I call very close friends still, and I've watched each and every one of them go through different phases in their photography career, or maybe they're a filmmaker or a designer. This applies to everybody. I think if you don't continue to reinvent yourself at some point in time, you're going to get stuck. And the true way to get out of that is to try something new. I feel like that's the one thing I've done pretty well throughout my career is I've been able to continue to reinvent my style. the subject matter that I shoot, and more importantly, at the end of the day, how my images look. When I look back at photos I took 10 years ago versus photos I took now, the difference is shocking. And even if I look at photos from the first year that I moved to LA versus now, there's a pretty stark difference. And I attribute a lot of that to trying new things, working in different lighting scenarios, buying a different camera. A lot of those things help. But the biggest and most important of all is I didn't give up. I kept shooting. I kept trying new things. And that's, I feel like, how you can grow as an artist. More than any other book, 30-second video on Instagram will ever be able to teach you. After these 10 years, I really have realized that consistency, I think, matters a lot more than motivation. Most days I wake up and I'm not motivated really to do much. Today is a perfect example. I had to wake up, record this video, and I didn't feel like doing it most of the day, but you do it anyways. And over time, slowly and surely, you build up that creative habit and it starts to ignite something inside of you where you can find the inspiration from within. Long story short, I think a lot of creative growth happens when you're not trying to grow. It happens through the patience and the slow burn of what will likely be a lifelong endeavor and career. So yeah, I shoot when I'm not inspired. I suggest that you do the same. It's helped me a lot throughout the years find inspiration from within, and it's helped me just to continue to grow my passion and also try to get better as a photographer over time. I don't want to look back 10 years from now and be the exact same place I am now. I want to be able to look back and see that I was able to grow, learn, and adapt to my surroundings. But yeah, that about wraps it up. I think it's important every once in a while to get on here and talk about inspiration or lack thereof. I think that's kind of the one true constant in everyone's creative career is you're not necessarily always going to have inspiration to look back on. But if you can find it from the consistency and the ability for you to get outside every day and take photos, I'm a firm believer that that's a great building block to working towards finding inspiration from within. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Before we end things, just wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, which is Squarespace, for sponsoring today's episode. Now you guys know by now, Squarespace is a longtime supporter of this YouTube channel and my creative endeavors. Here we are talking about inspiration, ways to find it. I'm a firm believer that building a website is a great building block to a successful career as a photographer, and Squarespace makes it extremely easy to do so. I've been using them since the start of my career to create everything from gallery pages to e-commerce sites, portfolio pages, you name it. They make it really easy to organize all of this in a way that makes sense for you. I've laid out my website using Squarespace for the last 10 years, and I can't recommend them enough to anyone out there who's looking to build their own creative website. If you guys would like to check out Squarespace for yourself, there'll be a link down in the description to receive 10% off your first website or domain purchase. Thanks so much to Squarespace as always for sponsoring this video. Thanks to you guys for watching. Remember, inspiration always comes from within. You just gotta find it. Take care.